Shalom. So hopefully everybody can hear me. Not that I expect there to be very many people, but okay. Uh let's see. Okay. Yay. Ecclesiastes 12. And it's a short one, so hopefully not too difficult. Okay. Remember now your Creator in the days of your youth, before the difficult days come, or evil days come, and the years draw near when you say, I have no pleasure in them. Remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of trouble come, and the years approach when you will say, I find no pleasure in them. And remember your Creator in the days of your youth, before the days of evil come, and years arrive about which you will say, I have no desire in them. Okay. Ushor et borecha biyemei bechurotecha ad asher lo yavou yemei hara'ah vehigiu shanim asher tomar ein li bahem chefetz. Interesting. Okay. So, schor, remember it's in the command form singular. Et borecha, your creator, and bria is the ex nihilo type of creation. We have various types. This is bria. Beyame bechurotecha. Interesting. So a bachur in modern Hebrew is a young man, a bachelor often, right? Youth. Yeah, it's only used a few times. Do not get this confused with a bechor, which is with a chaf, not with a het. Also, the problem, not problem. Bachur, right, livchor, that root is actually also used to choose. Past participle of, to choose. So, I guess it's choices? Yeah. Interesting. So, the days of your youth, the days when you are chosen, literally. Obviously, that's not the thing. Bahur ubetula, young men and virgins, in Deuteronomy 32:25. Mechutz tishakel ima gam bahur gam betula yonek im ish seva. Interesting. Okay. So, a bachelor is probably how I would translate it. Days of your bachelorhood. I'm surprised nobody did that. Days of your youth, days of your youth, days of your youth. Let me check to see if anybody did bachelor. Youth, excitement of youth, youth. Yeah, I don't see anybody doing anything but youth. And there is a sort of connotation there of a bachelor, of a man who has not been married, like Betula. So, yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Ad asher, so until, lo yavo, or before, yeah. While before, while not yet. Lo yavo, have not come, is how I would translate it. Yemei hara'ah, the days of evil. So yemei is in construct form with ra'ah, which is bad, evil, right? And the article, as always, goes on the last term of the construct chain. Vehigiu shanim asher. So higiu is the he field, the causative of to touch or reach. Usually I translate come near, I guess, or reach. Shanim asher tomar, those years when you would say, en libahem chefetz. So literally a chefetz is anything, especially in modern Hebrew. But it comes from lachpotz, right? To desire, right? For example, it says that God does not desire korbanot, right? Delight, have pleasure in, yeah. Ainli chefetz. Let me see what other places. Yeah, there's that verse, Mi ha'ish hachafetz chaim, who's the man who desires life, or covets life, desire, right? Okay, so that's chafetz. So I do not have a chafetz in them. Verse 2. While the sun and the light, the moon and the stars are not darkened, and the clouds do not return after the rain. Before the sun and the light, and the moon and the stars grow dark, the cloud and the clouds return after the rain. Okay. Before the sun, the light, the moon, and the stars darken, and the clouds return after the rain. Ad asher, so I would say that this is just using the same language, ad asher, over again. Lo techshach hashemesh v'haor v'hayareach v'hakochavim. Interesting. So they all put darkened after the list, and that's kind of I would have done it the other way, because it seems to be going in the order of diminishing light, right? Veshavu he'avim asher achar hageshem. Okay, so choshech is darkness, right? So become dark. Shemesh, so the sun. Ha'or, the light. Yeah, that's interesting. So the Shemesh and Yareach are called Me'or, right, in Genesis. How'd they translate Ha'or? They did the light. The other ones, yeah, also light. Yeah, I didn't notice that, because one of these is not like the other, right? Light is not like Shemesh and Yereach and Kochavim. So that's interesting for me. Yereach, right? Moon. Kochav, again, stars. Veshavu he'avim. So yeah, av ein bet. Dark cloud. Yeah, is it related to the word of, meaning thick? Maybe thicket. Hmm. The word, can't remember if it's with an aleph. The word um, thick in Hebrew. Let me check. Yeah, it's with an ayin. So, yeah, I don't know if that's ever used in the Bible, though, as thick. But in modern Hebrew, of means thick. So, yeah, I'm just not sure that it's ever used to mean thick in biblical Hebrew. Doesn't seem so. Okay. So the thick clouds. The other. So if you're thinking like clouds of glory, those are the anane kavod. That's a different word. Hagashim, of the rain, and Geshem turns to Gashem at the end of the sentence because of the trope, and at the end of the sentence that changes. So, okay, verse 3. In the days, hey Dominic, Harry Millington, you must be new here. Nice to see you. Glory days. The days, Bahurim, I guess could be, yeah, glory days. A Bahur, I guess, maybe, especially the song Glory Days, you know what I mean? Um, I would probably translate it the days of bachelorhood. Um, but youth makes sense too. Okay, where were we? In the days when the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men bow down, when the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look through the windows grow dim. When the keepers of the house tremble, and the strong men stoop, when the grinders cease because they are few, and those looking through the windows grow dim. Okay? On the days that the keepers of the house tremble, and the mighty men are seized by cramps, and the grinders cease since they have become few, and those who look out of the windows become darkened. Huh. Well, Rashi says grinders are the teeth, and the windows are the eyes. Which, let's see. Okay, Bayom sheyazu'u, okay, Shomrei habayit, ve'yit avtu, anshe hechayil, ubatlu hatochanot. Interesting, hatochanot. Ki mietu, vechashchu haroot ba'aruvot. Oh, hey, nice to see you, Harry. Sorry, I can't say you're my favorite. You're one of my favorites. Um, okay, so Bayom, on the day, it does have the article in the vocalizations. Sheyazu. So zeh is I believe to sweat, isn't it? Zeh. Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Zia. Move, tremble, shake off. Stormwind. I might be thinking. So let's. the thing is, like, I get, yeah, that is sweat in modern Hebrew. So, I'm not sure how it became sweat in modern Hebrew, but hmm. Well, don't know what to tell you. In modern Hebrew, zeh is sweat. So they're saying tremble. Yeah. Shomrei habayit, the guardians of the house, I would say. Um, Shomer means to keep, to guard. Right? Vehit avtu, and that's an interesting one. Bow down. Avet, bent or crooked. Seems it's used several times in Job. Make crooked, bend. A primitive root to wrest, bow self, make crooked, falsifying, overthrow, deal perversely. Okay, that I think is what I remembered it from. Yeah, Amos 8:5. Yeah, that's where I remembered it from. Yeah, Ya'avet Mishpat. Job, so to be corrupt. That's how I remembered it. But here it is. So it's in the hitpa'el, cause so corrupt themselves, or yeah, I would probably translate it corrupt themselves. Anshe hechayil, so men of chayil is usually wealth. Anshe chayil, right? That term is used, I believe, in several places in the Bible. Strength, efficiency, chiefly in poetry. Ish chayil, anshe chayil, right? It's used several times. So, men of moral worth, yeah, kind of like leaders. No, you're thinking of Ayil. Ayil can mean ram. Chayil can also mean Chayil can also mean a soldier or strength, force of army. I don't believe it's. You're thinking of Ayil, not Chayil. That's with an aleph. Okay. Ubatlu hatochanot. Now that was interesting because so tochen means to grind, right? As in to grind mill, right? Wheat. Um, tahina, right? Tahina, you eat. It's because it's crushed. It's been ground. Um, so it is the same word, tahina, um, and it's in the feminine. So I'm wondering if that's why Rashi thinks it's referring to the teeth. Grinders. It's the only time it's used as a grinder. Interesting. To be a concubine. That being their employment. Huh. Work of women that with millstone. Yeah, so I guess it is known as women's work to be grinding things. That's hatochanot. Ki mietu, because they have become few, right? Ma'at means little, few, right? V'chashchu, so again, choshech, like we had before, darken, right? Haroot, those that see, ba'arovot, in the, so first of all, there's that alliteration. I was expecting the windows to be chalon because that's often what it is. So when we talk about Noah's Ark, it's chalon. Floodgates of heaven, va'aravot hashamayim niftachu in Genesis 7:11. Again in Genesis 8:2. Latticed opening. Okay. Feminine past participle of arav, as if for lurking, a lattice. Well, this is with an aleph, arav. Don't get it confused with erev with an ayin. Interesting. Ve'arav lo, in Deuteronomy 19:11. Lying in wait to ambush. Those who look, haraot, again, female. So, yeah, that's interesting. So, anshe hachayil, but then when it changes to tochonot, the grinders, and root, it's definitely female. And it is the participle during the present tense. So, interesting. So Rashi says these are body parts. It's referring to. Okay, verse 4. When the doors are shut in the streets, and the sound of grinding is low, when one rises up at the sound of a bird, and all the daughters of music are brought low. When the doors to the street are closed, and the sound of grinding fades. When people rise up at the sound of birds, but all their songs grow faint. And the doors shall be shut in the street when the sound of the mill is low. And one shall rise at the voice of a bird, and all the songstresses shall be brought low. Okay. Vesugru delataim bashuk. Interesting. Bishfal kol hatachana. V'yakum lekol hatzipor. V'yishachu kol benot hashir. Okay, so liskor means to close, as opposed to pateach, right? Delataim. So actually, delataim is in the dual. So Hebrew has singular, dual, plural, while English only has singular and plural. So delet is one door, delataim is two doors, and delatim, or is it delatot, would be plural of doors, many doors. So this is in the dual, delataim, bashuk. So a shuk in modern Hebrew is a market. And that's what it means in Arabic. Street. From run over. I would have guessed market, but that's because of the modern use of the word. So in the streets, in the market, Bishfal kol hatachana. So shefel means low, right? So bishfal in the lowness. This is it's like a noun kind of bishfal. They say it's the infinitive. Okay. Kol hatachana. So it's construct form of voice or sound. Tachana, again, grinding, like the tochanot we had before, like techina, right? Of the grinding. Veyakom, so, and shall rise up, get up, right? Lekol hatzipor, so this is third person masculine singular, will get up to the voice of the bird, right? To the sound of the bird. Veyishachu, so this, I would say, is the same as mishtachave, right? Okay, so now I'm just wondering why. So, if you know the whole stem hishtafel thing, this is another reason why I just think it's an irregular shin het vav, but it might even be shin het het. Yeah. So linguists have this weird thing with hishtachava, right? With bowing, which they say is a completely rare thing by itself here. So if you go to the Hebrew grammar, they have a stem hishtafel. This is an extremely rare stem verb that is similar to the hefil and expresses causative action in active voice. And they say that it's only used for this verb, right? However, in biblical Hebrew, this stem is used almost exclusively with the verb chet vav hey or chet vav yud, whichever one you want. And it just, I don't understand why they would create a whole new stem when you could say, the Hebrew grammar, it's just Google unfolding word Hebrew grammar, and it'll come up. The website is readthedocs.io. And for me, like, saying that this stem even exists doesn't make sense. So I was always saying it's just shin chat vav, and it's irregular, but now I'm thinking there's this root, which most of the places that I've seen it before, I had kind of assumed that it was mishtachave, right? The same root. I didn't realize that it was made a different root by Strong's, like it has its own number. Doesn't make sense to me why it should. But anyway. So I would say that's another thing which argues there's no stem hishtafel. But okay. Ve'yishachu kol benot hashir. Brought low. I guess. So the verb is often translated as worship, right? Hishtachave is yes. So look, there is a strange verb because it appears to have more than 3 roots, right? Called and the linguists will say that it has its own stem, which makes no sense to me. And they will say that the root is chet vav hey or chet vav yud. And I my argument has been that no, it's just shin chet vav. And here, ve'yishachu, you could say it's shin het het is the root. So I would say this is related to worship or bow down. I would in fact probably translate this and bow. And how Chabad translated? Shall be brought low. Let's see. Rashi says Hebrew ve'ishachu. All the sounds of musical instruments seem to him like conversation, sicha. So he's saying this is like chatter. Its apparent meaning is like its simple interpretation that yishachu is like yishpalu, right? Because we had shefel in the previous one, right? Or no, in this sentence, right? All the singers and songstresses shall be low in his eyes, and so did Barzillai the Giladi say to David, 2 Samuel 19:36, or can I still listen to the voice of singers and songstresses? Let's look that up. In 2 Samuel. Do they have it? They don't bring that one. Let's go to 2 Samuel. What does Rashi say? 2 Samuel 19:36. So, Kim'at yavor avdecha et hayarden et hamelech velama yigmelenu. Hamelech gemulazot must not be the verse. Ben shmonim shana anochi hayom l'ra'a im yatu asher ochal asher eshte im eshma עוד בכל שרים ושרות, ולמה יהיה עבדיך עוד למסע אל אדוני המלך. Okay, let me see. I'm not sure why Rashi's bringing this. Oh, because he's old and he can't hear. Okay, so he's not bringing it for the word. He's explaining that this is something that happens in old age. I figured the word would be there, but apparently not. Yeah. Ve'yishachu kol benot hashir. Okay. I guess can't be heard. Not sure. And honestly, I mean, the shin gets repeated, right? Vesugru dlatot bashuk bishval kol hatachana vayakum lekol hatzipor vayishachu kol banot hashir, right? It's the alliteration there that I think matters more than anything. So, it's poetic text, and like I always say about poetic text, it's really hard to translate it. Okay, verse 5. And they are afraid of height and of terrors in the way. When the almond tree blossoms, the grasshopper is a burden, and desire fails, for man goes to his eternal home, and the mourners go about in the streets. When people are afraid of heights and of dangers in the streets, when the almond tree blossoms and the grasshopper drags itself along, and desire no longer is stirred, then people go to their eternal home and mourners go about in the streets. Okay? Also, from high places they will fear, and terrors on the road, and the almond tree will blossom, and the grasshopper will drag itself along, and sexual desire will flail, for man goes to his everlasting home, and the mourners go about in the street. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Let's look at the Hebrew. Gam migvoa yira'u v'hatachatim baderech v'hatachatim. Oh, v'chatchatim. Oh, it's so. This is a pilpel. Yes, we can read the Rashis on thing. So let's do the Hebrew. We'll come back and read the Rashis. Okay. V'chatchatim baderech v'yan etz hashaked v'yistabel hechagav v'tafer ha'aviona. Okay. Ki holech ha'adam el beit olamo v'savavu bashuk hasoptim. Interesting. This is a weird verse. Okay. Let's go through the Hebrew words and then we'll go take a look at Rashi. So, gam migvoah yira'u. Also from high up, they shall be in awe. Yira'u. They shall be afraid. I usually translate yira as awe because it can be both awesome and awful. And actually, like, from I would say they will have, like, this has a thing of they will be afraid of heaven type thing. V'chatchatim. So chitat is a rarely used word for terror. Yeah, from chatat. Yeah. So chitat is used several times, but this chatchatim in, so you can have a we're doing all the strange stems today, I guess. So you can have a stem pilpel. So the pilpel is a rare stem formation that is similar to the PL and expresses the same range of meanings, meaning it's repetitious. The pilpel stem is a variation of the PL, has potential to express the same range of variable actions. The pilpel stem is formed by the PL by dropping the second radical, so chatat, right, is chet, taf, taf, and repeating the first and the third radical, thus making a verb that appears to have 4 consonants. It is a rare stem formation in biblical Hebrew. Many of the occurrences of the pilpel stem in the Bible are kalkel, right? So yeah, this is a pilpel stem. So we're all into the strange stems here, but so this is like a repetitive type of terror, right? That's basically what it's saying. Baderech, on the way, right? In the way, right? V'yan etz, so blossom, yeah. Naatz is To spurn with, treat with contempt, blaspheme, despise. Huh. This I didn't expect. Niatsu. I guess, yeah. Verb denominative from natsats. So, yeah, that's what I was thinking, is because netsutse, right, are sparks. So that's what I was thinking, but that doesn't have an aleph in it. Yeah, this appears to be the only place with an aleph. I think the translators are kind of assuming that the aleph is a spelling mistake there. V'yan'itz. Because if you read it as with a normal aleph there, it's that's a different root. I'm wondering what Rashi says, but they seem to be reading it as a spelling mistake. Because here, let's go to the first place in the Bible where it shows up, which is Numbers 14. Vayomer Havaya el Moshe ad ana yin atsuni ha'am hazeh va'ad ana lo yaminu bi bechol ha'otot asher asiti bikirbo. So it's being used as a synonym for not believing. That's really interesting. If, like me, you believe that there are no spelling mistakes in the Bible, that's really interesting. If, like some people, you believe that there is a spelling mistake in the Bible, which is the easiest way to explain this away, that aleph is really a kind of spelling mistake there. Interesting. V'yan'itz hashaked, right? So sheked is an almond, but they didn't have spell check. Sheked. So and by extension, it's also an almond tree, right? Interesting. Okay, we will go to the Rashis after this. Vayistabel hechagav. So this is, the root here is samech bet lamed, which means to stand, to as in not stand up, as in to withstand, right? Savlanut in modern Hebrew is patience, right? So when a verb, the first radical is a samech, and it's in the hitpa'el, it's in the repetitive reflexive. The samech and the taf switch, and that's why it's ve'yistapel, right? So this is the hitpa'el of savel, right? So will withstand and is a burden. Hechagav, the grasshopper. That's what chagav means. Is a grasshopper. V'tafer ha'aviona. So litpor means to unstitch. Parar, to break, frustrate, break asunder. Figurative, to frustrate Yeah, hefar, defeat. So, vetafer ha'aviona. Evionim are things that are desired. Caperberry? Caperberry. I've never heard of caperberry. As stimulating desire, Ecclesiastes 12:5, Mishnah Avionim, compare Spinoza. What's says it's the feminine of Evionim, right? The poor. Benishmatu. Word double translation. So this is the same word as ta'ava, right? Which is lust or desire. So ha'avyoni na. Interesting. So tafer ha'avyona. Shall be defeated the poor, the desired one, or the caperberry. Don't know what to tell you. Ki holech ha'adam el beit olamo. So to walk to go to, Beit Olamo is actually a Jewish euphemism for dying. It's to go to your world, right? Or to the eternal world. No, thank you. So, and the man shall go to his eternal home is probably how I would translate it. Yeah. V'savavu bashuk hasoptim. So, sovev means to go around, right? A sevivon is a top. This is actually used many times, like around, right? As in to surround, right? Bashuk, so again the word shuk, however you translated it before, hasopdim. So sopdim are people who are eulogizing, who are mourning for somebody. Hesped is a eulogy. Interesting. I would probably translate gather around the mourners. I don't know how you translate this verse. Let's see what Rashi is saying. Also from high places they will fear. From the mounds and bumps in the street, he is afraid to go out on the street lest he stumble on them. Okay, I guess. Chatchatim, he has many fears and terrors on the road. Chatchatim, this is a word consisting of doubled language, like galgal, right? So he's saying it's pilpel, right? And blossoms, Hebrew veyenatz, expression of, and that's, so he's saying it's like the thing. For the aleph in it is not pronounced. Our rabbis said this is the haunch in French, into which the hip bone is thrust. And in his old age, the flesh is emaciated, and the bone protrudes, like the blossom of a tree which protrudes. Where did the rabbis say this? Let me look this up. Ecclesiastes 12:5. So in Shabbat, this is the Talmud Masachet Shabbat. Miguayar shafilu b'gashim katana dama alav kehare harim b'derech b'sha'ah shaked zok livoset. So that's where the caperberry apparently comes from. Yistabel hachagav elu agavot rabbeinu zochemda ki holach adam lebeit olam. So apparently the Gemara continues interpreting verses from Ecclesiastes. So this is the verse we're on. Also, when they shall be that even a small hill shall seem high, terrors of the road. This is the hip bone. Veyinatz. So no, they're not translating it as almonds blossoming. And the grasshopper shall drag itself, yistabel, by replacing the het of chagav with an ayin. This can be under agavot, which became savel. This is chemda. Talmud 152a is trying to explain this verse. Interesting. Don't know what to tell you. Okay, let's go back to Rashi. Hashaked, the almond tree, old age will spring upon him like this almond tree, which hastens to blossom before all the other trees. Okay. And the grasshopper, these these are the buttocks. For his buttocks will seem to him to be as one who bears a heavy burden. So like arthritis, I guess. Veistabel. And the desire for women. So he's translating it like ta'ava, right? Ta'ava yonah. Is that which is desired. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, we went word for word. Poor grasshopper. Don't know what to tell you. I mean, ki holach adam el Yan'atz hashaked ve'yistabel hachagav ve'tafer ha'evyona. I have no idea how to translate this verse. So, do with it as thou wilt. Okay. Remember your Creator before the silver cord is loosened, or so with thing removed in the Vulgate. Septuagint and Vulgate is broken. I don't know what KT is. It must be a manuscript. don't know which one. I think QR is Qumran, and TG is Targum. Not sure. Or the golden bowl is broken, or the pitcher shattered at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the well. Remember him before the silver cord is severed and the golden bowl is broken, before the pitcher is shattered at the spring and the wheel broken at the well. Okay. Before the silver cord snaps and the golden fountain is shattered and the pitcher breaks at the fountain and the wheel falls shattered into the pit. Ad asher lo yirachek. That's interesting. So the katuv, what's the difference between the katuv? Yiratek is how it is read. Yirachek is how it is written. Okay. Chavel hakesef v'tarutz gulat hazaav v'tishaber kad ad al hamabua v'narotz hagalgal el habor. This is going to be a fun one. Ad asher, until, right? So they're saying remember because ad asher, right, is reminding you of the beginning verses. But it doesn't actually say that. So the difference between katuv and kri is there is a tradition to read it differently than how it is written. So it is written with a het, which looks a lot like a tuf. Rahak means to be far away, and generally what people would say is that it's a spelling mistake. I obviously don't believe in spelling mistakes in the Bible, and here this is giving us rahak, not ratak. My favorite Christian? I can't say I have a favorite Christian. I love many, many Christians. I certainly love PVK and Sam and Father Eric and lots of people you don't know and Charlie and Dave and Jeff and all the guys. How can you make me choose between my children? John Calvin. hell, I even love Paul. But only because I have to. Yes. Only because I have to. Okay. Do they have Yiratek? So, Rahak, Rahash. Okay. Ratov. Ratob, Ratah, Ratat. Ratafash. No, they don't have Ratak. Interesting. Ratat. No, that's with a tet. Ratah. Not sure about that. Ratob. Don't know what to tell you. It's red ratach. I mean ratak. Ratek. Yeratek. Okay, well, we'll take a look. Chavel hakesef. So construct, chavel is a cord, or um, yeah, something that binds, right? Hakesef, the silver cord, and as usual, as always, the article goes on the last term. Vetarutz, so they're saying broken. Roots means to run, to crush. Ratzatz, to crush. Ratzutz. I'm wondering why they're sure it's not from roots to run. Okay. Don't know. Don't know. We'll see. Okay. But yeah, they're saying it's from ratzatz, to break, to crush. Gulat hazahav. So bowl, something round, I guess. Gula is a basin or a bowl. In Joshua, it's used as springs. From galal, from to roll round. I wouldn't say that. And hello, New Eyes. Don't know who you are, but I wouldn't say that anyone who is a follower is just as guilty. But he definitely was not a saint. I'll give you that much. Um, yeah, it comes from round, gula, something that is round. Fountain, bowl, or globe, all are round. Yeah. So gulat hazahav, the golden bowl or orb or round thing. Um, Vetishaber, so to break or shatter. Kad, pitcher, bowl. Yeah, a kad is a pitcher, something that you pour from. Al hamabua. Mabua. It shows up 3 times in the Bible. Twice in Isaiah. It's spring from Nava. Okay. Yabia. To bubble up. Pour forth. So something that pours forth. Mabua. Okay. Venarotz hagalgal el habor. So, ratzatz means to pierce, I believe. Crush. Venarotz, and shall become crushed, broken. Hagalgal, the wheel, the thing that goes round. I've met many nice Calvinists. I have too. But I will say, people who are born in Calvinism, I will agree. I find somebody who adopts actual total depravity as a thing they believe is telling you there is making a confession. I am very wary of someone who says all people are completely depraved, total depravity. No. Okay. So narot hagalgal, the wheel or thing that, right? So it's crush, naratz. At the well or at a bore, not a well. Oh yeah, I guess it is a bore. Is a um, hmm. I have no clue. I mean, I know we went through all the words. I still have no clue how you translate this. But there's a lot of rolling and breaking and crashing, and I don't know how you translate this. I really do not. So translate it as you like. Verse 7. Then the dust will return to the earth as it was, and the spirit will return to God who gave it. And the dust returns to the ground it came from, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Let's see what Rashi actually we didn't do. Your tuck spinal cord snaps. Okay. Well, that's interesting. So Rashi's taking all of these to be ways of getting old in your body, and that's what or he has a different one where it's talking about the house of David and Israel. Whew. Oh, he gets that from the Midrash Kinot, Lamentations Rabbah. So there are allegorical understandings of this, which Rashi gives, and I'm sure other people give as well. And the dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. Vayashov ha'afar al haaretz keshahaya v'haruach tashuv el ha'elohim asher natana. Well, all of those are very easy words. I understand what all the words mean. I don't know what the sentence means. Okay. Vayashov, right, to return. Ha'afar, the dust, right? And there's efer and afar, so with the aleph and the ayin, and one is dirt and the other is dust, and I always forget which is which. Al haaretz, so this is the preposition with the ayin, upon the land, right? Keshehaya, as it was, keshehaya. It's in the perfect. So completed action. V'haruach tashuv, so again, shall return the spirit, el ha'elohim, to God, asher natana. So this is definitely a holy use of the word Elohim, because it is taking a singular verb of to natana, right? Gave it, or so the dagesh, the dot in the hay, is what tells you that it is an aspirated hay, meaning that that's the third person feminine singular, right? So shall return. Yeah, so like a person dies, their spirit returns to God who gave it to them. And you return to dust as you were. Well, that one's, I guess, kind of clear. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that I would say that clearly seems to be talking about. Um, Although he also Lamentations Rabbah apparently gives this whole thing of like this is Babylon and right. Interesting. Okay. Verse 8. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, all is vanity. Meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher, or the leader of the assembly, also in verses 9 and 10. Everything is meaningless. Vanity of vanities, said Kohelet. All is vanity. So going back to the beginning of Ecclesiastes. Havel Havalim, Asher HaKohel, Amar HaKohelet, Hakol Havel. So, Havel variously as vanities, meaninglessness. Literally, it's Havel Pe, right? So you're like a breath, right? Havel. Hevel Havalim, right? Something fleeting that is not permanent. Um, yeah. Amar ha-kohelet. So said the person who kohels, right? So kuf he lamed is where we get kehila, which is a congregation. And there is the Parsha Vayakel, right? And God tells Moses to gather people together. HaKohelet, right? The one, yeah, the teacher or gatherer, right? HaKohelet, HaKol Havel. Everything is Havel. Okay, verse 9. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yes, he pondered and sought out and arranged in order many proverbs. Not only was the teacher wise, but he also imparted knowledge to the people. He pondered and searched out and set in order many proverbs. And more than this, Kohelet was wise. He also taught knowledge to the people. He listened and sought out. He established many proverbs. Okay. Vayoter shehaya Kohelet chacham od limad da'at et ha'am ve'izen vechiker tiken mishalim harbe. Oof. Imagine a God that created people to burn in hell and there's nothing they could do about it. Imagine then calling that God good and expecting us to take you seriously as a human being. That's a Calvinist. I kind of have to agree with you, Harry. Yeah. V'yoter. And more so, moreover, and more than this, right? Yoter means more, right? V'yoter. Shehaya Kohelet Chacham. Kohelet, however you're going to translate that, was wise, Chacham, right? Od limed da'at. Limad da'at et ha'am. So, this is the perfect of the PL melamed, right, to teach. Lomed. So the Pa'al of Lamed Mem Dalet is to learn. The PL, which is the repetitive, is to teach. Da'at. So he taught knowledge, da'at, right, the intimate knowledge. Et ha'am, to the people. So also yeah. Oh, notice there's like od dot ha'am. This is a very poetic sentence. V'yoter shahaya kohelet chacham od limad dot et ha'am ve'izen vechiker. So ozen literally means ear. So he pondered or he listened. Izen, to give ear, listen. Yeah. I'm not sure why they didn't translate it to listen. I would have translated it as listen. Did Chabad translate it as listen? Yeah, he listened. So why didn't they translate it as listen? They did pondered. I would say listen. I mean, it's obviously ozen is an ear. Okay. Ve'izen vechiker. So chakira means to search or to delve into, right? I think it might even be to dig, to search. Yeah. Darashta v'chakarta v'sha'alta, right? So it's if you go to Deuteronomy 13:14, it uses three. I would say all three of those are synonyms. Dara, sha'al, to question, and to chaker, examine. Examine, I like examine. Explore. Okay. Tiken mishalim harbe. So a takana is is fixing, right? Tikkun olam you've probably heard of, but arrange, make straight, yeah, litkon. Apparently, it's only used in Ecclesiastes. Really? No, it's used in Daniel 4:3. A primitive root to equalize. Okay. Daniel 4:33. Well, this is in Aramaic. Not sure where they think this is in Daniel. In Daniel 4:33, don't see the word that they say is there. Don't know what to tell you. I have no idea what they're talking about. But yeah, Tiken made straight, set, ordered, arranged. I would probably translate as arranged. Mishalim harbe. So a mashal is an allegory or a proverb or an old saying. In some places, it's translated as an old saying. Mishle is actually, so that's Sefer Mishle is Proverbs, right? So this is the same word, Mishalim. So many Mishalim, Proverbs. Okay. And I guess this is where we get the fact that the idea that Solomon wrote both Kohelet and Mishle. Okay. Next verse. The preacher sought to find acceptable words, delightful words. What was written was upright, words of truth. The teacher searched to find just the right words, and what he wrote was upright and true. Kohelet sought to find words of delight and properly recorded words of truth. ביקש קהלת למצוא דברי חפץ, וכתוב יושר דברי אמת. Okay. So bikesh, right? He sought, asked for. Actually, I would probably translate. Bakasha means a please in Hebrew. Bavakasha, right? Please, I'm asking. So bikesh. Did they translate it as? No, they didn't translate it as thing. You think righteous would be better word here than upright? Well, let's see. Limtso divrei chafetz, to find. Limtso means to find, right? Divrei chafetz. So we had chafetz earlier. So words that are desired, wanted, acceptable. Okay. V'katuv yosher divrei emet. Yashar means straight. Righteous usually says, yeah, from Yashar, yeah, Yosher. Righteous usually people think of tzedek, and that's what I usually use, tzedek, right? Tzaddik dalad kuf. I would probably do upright seems okay. Straight. V'katuv yosher divrei emet. So katuv is passive participle. Were written, was written. V'katuv yosher divrei emet. And truthful words were written not upright, were written clearly, almost. I actually think maybe clearly, properly. Yeah, properly makes sense. The Katuv Yosher. It makes me think of lined paper, right? That it was written, arranged well. Yeah. Honestly, in the Hebrew, it just makes me think of writing things neatly. That's what Katuv Yosher means to me, is neat writing. So don't know what to tell you. Divrei emet, words of truth. That's obviously a construct of davar and emet. Okay, verse 11. The words of the wise are like goads, and the words of the scholars, or masters of assembly, are like well-driven nails given by one shepherd. And they capitalized shepherd. The words of the wise are like goads. They're collected sayings like firmly embedded nails given by one shepherd. Or capital shepherd. Okay. That is the first time I have seen a note that like shepherd or shepherd. Okay. Kohelet. No, that was a thing. The words of the wise are like goads, and like well-fastened nails with large heads given from one shepherd. Okay, let's see what this Hebrew is. Divrei chachamim kadarvonot. Darvonot. Okay. Chamas masmarot semer. That's a sin. Masmarot netuim ba'alei asufot nitnu mero'e echad. Oh. Okay, so Divrei Chachamim, that's easy. The words of the wise. So Divrei Chachamim, the words of the wise. Kad darvonot. Darvon, goad. It's in 1 Samuel. That's the only other place that it's used. Following compare Arabic, go on foot, step by step. Ethiopic, to be connected. Aramaic, daragu. Huh. Of uncertain derivation. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only person who has no idea. So it appears to be a loan word. So darvon, because it seems to have four. I mean, derev. I don't know of a root daled resh bet. Let's see. Yeah, there's no root dalet resh bet in Hebrew. It's a loan word. Must be coming from some other language. So they are darvonot. Whatever darvonot are. So they're saying it's a goad. Okay, I'll take your word for it. V'kamasmarot. So samer. Masmara is a nail from masmer. With a sin, samech. So yes, there is this idea that sin and samech are really just the same. So a nail from samer, bristle, smar. Huh. Connected, dubious with Aramaic, masmara, nailed up. So, yeah, it seems to be another loan word. Netuyim, well, that's clear. That's so netiat ohel is to pitch a tent, right? Netuyim that are set in, well driven. Ba'ale asufot. So things that are gathered. I'm not sure why asufot has to be scholars. A collection, yeah. Asuf. Le'esof means to gather. So asufa is something that's gathered. Ba'ale asufot nitnu mera'o ro'e echad. I have no idea why Ba'ale asufot is words of scholars. How did Chabad translate this? Netuim Ba'ale. Let's see what Rashi's saying. Words of the wise are like goads, just as this goad directs the cow to its furrows, so their words direct a person. Like well-fastened nails, just as this nail is fastened, so are they. So Rashi says that asufot, ba'alei asufot, is actually going on on the well-driven nails. Ba'alei asufot. Asufot, nails that have a large and thick head, gross in French. So he got this from some guy named Dunash ben Labrat in a responsum to Shuvot Dunash. Netuim. Ba'alei asufot. Ba'alei asufot. So, kemasmarot netuim ba'alei asufot. Whew. Let me go back to see what the Evan Ezra says. יש בדברי הקדמונים דברים מילת רועה בעבור שמידה. That didn't help. Meaning of Hebrew uncertain. Yes, I agree with you. That didn't help. Let's see. Metzudat David is usually good. Divrei Chachamim k'divrei kemasmarot netuyim. Divrei ba'alei asufot hem hamelaktim mesaprim shonim. So he's saying ba'alei asufot are people who gather things. Hema devarim kavuim kemesmar hakavua. These are set things like a nail is. B'makom techiva. ועוד הם הפרים ורבים כאלו היו נטועים בארץ, רוצה לומר דבריהם קיימים. So they stay. ועוד יוכל החכם להוציא מהם טעמים הרבה. דברי בעלי הסופות הם אחד. So he says that it's like, so these collections are like they come from one shepherd, meaning even though they are diverse, they still have a meaning. This is a hard one. Let's see, Malbim sometimes, the Torah Tamima, Divrei Chachamim, Darash Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Divrei Chachamim Darvanot Ba'alei Asufot, Natnu Mera Achad, Lama Nimshalu Divrei Torah LeDarvon, Lomed Lacha Ma Darvan Ze Machmin Edapara Latamide. So Rashi got his things from the Talmud apparently. Mechuvanim Torah Metatin Talmud Lomar Mesmarot Ema Masmar Ze Chaser Velo Yater Af Divrei Torah Chasraim. That's from Chagiga in the thing. Does a great job of digging himself out of nihilism, this chap. I guess. I yeah, so I forgot, the Torah Tamima is goes and finds where this is mentioned in Divrei Chachamim. Is there a Malbim on here? Mitztamem Abarbanel El Yechazkel. Yeah, the Abarbanel is doing it on the whole thing, and yeah. Malbim. Is there Men Yada? That's gonna be interesting. Um, that's gonna be a Kabbalistic one. Apparently, there's a lot of Kabbalistic Kli Yakar al Shamot. Rabbeinu Bechaye. Let's look at the Kli Yakar. הסופים נתנו מראה אחת והתורה כל נטיותיה שלום. So he's similarly saying that it's, even though it's collected from many places, it shows that it's still from one person. So one more time. Divrei chachamim kedarvonot ukemasmarot netuyim ba'alei asufot. Oh. I think what I would say is they're like nails that are arranged in a together. But why would you do that to nails? Nitnu mara achad. I would probably translate this as it's arranged nails, which show that they were given by one person, one shepherd. Miro echad. This is why I do not have a translation of the Bible myself. I do not know how you would translate this to English. I just do not. Okay, next verse. And further, my son, be admonished by these, of making many books there is no end, and much study is wearisome to the flesh. Be warned, my son, of anything in addition to them. Of making many books there is no end, and much study wearies the body. And more than they, my son, beware. Making many books has no end, and studying much is a weariness of the flesh. Okay. Veyoter mehema b'nei hizaher asot svarim harbe ein ketz velahag harbe yigat basar. Okay. Veyoter, so, and more so, right? Like we had before, and furthermore. Mehema, from these things. Beni, my son. Hizaher, be careful. Asot svarim, in making books. Asot svarim, yeah, making books. Harbe, many. Ein ketz, there is no end. Without end. Ein ketz. Velahag harbe, so this word lahag, study or devotion, it's the only place it's used. From an unused word. How do you know that if it's the only place that it's used? Let's see what Rashi says. Lahag. And if he comes to memorize large amounts, how do they know lahag means that? Um, let's see if I can find a commentary which explains where the word lahag comes from. Kamal Ahmed. Okay, Ein Ketz. Velamed lahag shoresh kelamed lamed. Da'at kemishkal lahat hacherev. Ve'ein la dome belashon Ishmael hu kamo kriya. So he's saying, Ibn Ezra is saying that it's in Arabic that he gets this lahag. Lahag harbe v'od l'kor harbe b'sfarim merubim yigia kriya v'heskira. So Metzudat David also says lahag means this. Ein lo dome. There's no. It's a single word. V'lafi inyano pitrono, and because of the other things, you can the context you understand. V'chen targumo, and the targum is lama'aseg b'mit pitgamei oraita. So they're getting it, I guess, from Targum Uziel. Ubepeyat shel Rosh Hashanah belahag malhagim ubelashon Yishmaelhu kamo kriya. So he's also saying that they're getting it from Arabic, apparently. So he's saying that there is a piyut in the Rosh Hashanah thing. Husham min hogeh. So, okay. Ralbag, okay. And that's what he meant by there's a lamed. Here's KJV. And further by these, my son, be admonished of making many books there's no end, and much flesh is a wariness of the flesh. So, the idea is apparently that hogeh, that the lamed is actually not part of the root. Velahag. So that the word is hogeh, which means meditation, hegyon, right? To study. That I can understand. That the actual root is hey gemel hey. Okay, that I can understand. That makes sense to me. Velahag harbe yigiat basar. And you have to realize, I mean, this is obviously alliteration. Yigiat basar, right? Lahag harbe yigiat basar. Yigia means to strive, right? Basar is wearisome, tires the flesh. Yigiat basar. Okay. Next verse. 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is all of man. And this is in, we say it right before benching, which is the blessing we say at the end of a meal. So grace after meals. And so I know this verse by heart. V'hakol nishma yirat ha'elokim u'mitzvotav tishmor ki zeh kol ha'adam. Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. The end of the matter, everything has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the entirety of man. My scholarly understanding, Jacob, don't bother, gets you nowhere. Just fear God and do what he says. Sof davar, right, at the end of the matter, right, sof davar, hakol nishma, everything, has been heard. I don't know why they're saying let us hear. I mean, I guess you could say, but that's not the morphology they give. I think it's nifal, but they're translating it as if it's the future, Who translated it that way? Now all is heard. Let us hear. Oh, this is apparently the King James translated nishma as let us hear. You can certainly make an argument for it. That's not what the words mean, in my opinion. Sof davar hakol nishma. No, that's not how I would translate it at all. I just think they're wrong. Okay. Et ha'elokim yirah, right? So, God yirah, right? Have awe, have fear. It's in the command form. Ve'et mitzvotav shamor, again, so this is the command form of keep. So his mitzvot, his commandments keep. Ki ze kol ha'adam, because this is all of man. Because that's all man is. That's everything there is to being a man, right? Okay, next verse, last verse. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil. For every deed, God will bring to judgment, for every hidden thing, whether good or bad. Ki et kol ma'aseh ha'elokim yavi be'mishpat. Interesting that it's be'mishpat and not ba'mishpat. Al kol ne'elam im tov ve'im ra. I didn't realize it was ne'elam there. Okay. Ki et kol ma'aseh ha'elokim, because all of, well, the work creations of God, right? Yavi bemishpat, shall be brought, will bring. Oh, ki et kol ma'aseh ha'elokim yavim bemishpat. Right, because all things, all ma'aseh, all, I'm not sure I would say things, all actions, God shall bring bemishpat, into judgment, not into the judgment, right? There's no article there. Al kol ne'elam, so that's preposition with the ayin, everything that is ne'elam. So ayin lamed mem means to hide, right? Helem is to hide, but it's also the same root as olam, meaning eternal or the world, right? This is where we get the idea that creation, olam, is helem, is itself a hiding of God. Al kol ne'elam im tov ve'im ra, whether it be good or bad. If it is good or if it is bad. I would almost translate al kol ne'elam not as secret things, but the whole world. Like al kol ha'olam, there's definitely that subtext there. I mean, it's hinting at it, I would say. Okay, we have reached the end. I have live streamed 6 hours today. If anybody has questions, comments, what does the nun do there? It makes it nif'al. So it's in the passive. Everything that is, yeah, nifal, exactly, yeah. So it says nifal, participle, masculine singular. Yeah. Yeah, it's the ne'elam, it's a little bit strange because the ayin at the beginning changes the thing. So really, I mean, if it was like, if it was a shalem, it would be nishlam. It wouldn't be neshlam, but because it's an ayin, it changes the segol under the nun. In fact, I think that's what Rashi says. Yeah, that a person maaseh is vile. Oh no, that's something else. That's maaseh. Yeah, he doesn't mention that since it is connected since it is not connected to. Right. So Rashi is pointing out that in the cantillations, it's maaseh, et kol ha-maaseh. So there's kind of a comma there between works. So it's not maaseh halokim. It's not the works of God. It's God will bring in judgment all actions. That's how I would translate it. Deed makes sense too. I still have to work on the derived verb forms. I'm not sure what you mean derived verb forms. You mean the stems, the 7 binyanim? Well, this constructor is actually really good. So I recommend it. The website Hebrew for Christians has without any has the binyanim how they would be without any, so it just has X's there, which can help you, but honestly you'll get used to it. Yeah, Nifal, Hitpal, that stuff. Yeah, the binyanim, that's what they're called, the binyanim. So know the menorah, right? That so there's where I've done several reviews where I've showed the menorah. Wikipedia has it for the binyanim as well, where you can see that there's 6 of them which match up passive active, right? So kal has a passive form nifal, right? PL, which is repetitive as opposed to kal, has a passive form pual, right? Hefil, which is the causative, right? And the hefil, the way you usually see the hefil is with the yod, has a passive, which is actually really rare, hofal. And then there's hitpa'el, which is the... So if you learn the 7 things, right? So 3 of them are active, 3 of them are passive, and then hitpa'el is reflexive. That helps. Yeah. And pa'al and pl in the active form, that mem at the beginning, right? So lomed is the pa'al, melamed is the pl, right? And then talmid is actually the hefil, the causative, right? Lehalmid, to cause to be a student. Lahalmid, yeah. Yeah. So I am gonna stick around for another 6 minutes in case anybody has questions, comments, anything like that. Otherwise, is there anything new under the sun? Do you think it would help to learn modern Hebrew, or would that make it more complicated? If you're actually going to learn... I took modern Hebrew classes, so I can't say no. they're I mean, modern Hebrew is definitely built on biblical Hebrew, but also Mishnaic Hebrew. Yeah, I mean, it can help. I don't know if you're using Aleph with Beth. For somebody who's genuinely learning, I would watch the videos Aleph with Beth has. They do a really good job. And if you can understand them speaking, you're doing well. That's what I would say. I wouldn't say learning modern Hebrew hurts. I'm just not sure if it helps. If you know that you're definitely going to stick with biblical Hebrew, but yeah, there's nothing. I mean, I can't see it hurting. Uh, how do I stop procrastinating? Good question. that's that's a really good question. Um, the only good advice I think I've seen is reinforce in yourself the reasons why you are doing something and that why you should do something, right? So if, like me, you fail to exercise even though you keep on telling yourself you will, what I would do is just think about, you know, I'll be healthier, I'll look better, and possibly that might motivate you, but it's not easy. I'll say that much. Dominic, are you sure you want to use that white supremacist symbol? I'm joking, obviously. Come on, Harry, you're being quiet. I don't understand that. You're never quiet. It's you know what? It's really really stupid to say it's a and I actually got upset. This member of parliament in Canada was saying that honk honk is a um, sign for Heil Hitler. It's like you're Jewish, and she is Jewish, and it's like really you're gonna cheapen the Holocaust like that. Really pissed me off. Um, but you know. Well, okay, I have to tell you, it's not insane because 4chan actually does use honk honk partially for that reason. But they do that because they want people to oh, you're the one who asked, is there anything new under the sun? Well, the Bible says no. So, but you also have to remember that, well, ein chadash tachat hashamayim. I mean, there's a lot of people who joke about that. But so 4chan does this thing of turning normal things into supposedly white supremacist stuff, so that crazy people will react to it the way that these crazy people do, so that it will red pill people that they're calling all kinds of, because people will be like, hold on, I used honk honk, why are you? And so 4chan does this deliberately, and these idiots fall for it. So that's what bothers me. So I guess there is nothing new under the sun, Harry. Yeah. Yeah. Ein chadash tachat hashamayim. There is nothing new under the sun. Don't know what to tell you. That's the Bible verse. Yeah. Oh, no. There definitely 4chan deliberately picks things which can then be interpreted. But you can interpret anything like that. But there is a reason. No, they're definitely doing honk honk because it's HH. 4chan has this planned out. They're trying to trigger the crazies and falling for it. And that's actually what the ADL... So the ADL had a warning about the OK symbol. That 4chan was doing it particularly for that. Right? I actually visited 4chan. It's not that interesting. I think it's manipulated. I think it's very, very manipulated. But that's just my view. Okay, I'm going to lose my voice. So, unless people have questions about the Bible, I think I am going to log away. Why Nietzsche parodies Ecclesiastes and thus spoke is where he gets the idea of eternal return. You know, I've never actually studied Nietzsche myself. When I was a kid, I read Crime and Punishment, and I really, really loved it. But I was like 11, right? And so I went on a Fyodor Dostoevsky kick. I read every book by Dostoevsky in my library. In my school library, in my home library, in every library I could go get to. And so I don't actually... I remember Brothers Karamazov better than I don't remember really Crime and Punishment. I mean, I know the main thing, but I don't really remember it, even though I really loved it. Yeah, I was obsessed with Russian literature too. I read a lot of Tolstoy, and yeah. And for me, I think that acted like a total guard against all the French nihilist, existentialist BS. And I sort of kind of assumed that Nietzsche was a existentialist type. So I didn't bother with him, because I found Sartre and Camus to be boring and stupid. I found nihilism to be boring and stupid, and I think that was because of my love for Dostoevsky. So I never bothered with Nietzsche. Maybe I should have, but yeah. Does it not make you think everything is pointless, that everything repeats forever? You mean Ecclesiastes? See, this is part of my thing of the Bible is not a book. The Bible is a library. And it has sections to help you through places you are in your life, right? So you don't read Song of Songs on Tisha B'Av, right, on a sad day, you read Lamentations. And you don't read Ecclesiastes on a day when you're excited, right? So, and same thing with Psalms, right? It has different parts. The Bible has different parts to it. It is a library, not a book. And so I think Ecclesiastes has its place. Um, and that's part of the beauty of the Bible for me. Is it's not just one thing. It reflects the world, right? And so if you make any one book of the Bible, like I love Deuteronomy, obviously, it's one of my favorite books. Um, Job, to some extent, I really like Jonah. I really love Jonah, right? Uh, but they're different from each other. They're not the same. So that's what I would say. You are quite welcome. Okay, people, I think I'm going to say good night.